Hello readers! Sorry for the extended break that I took. US politics kind of has me like... But I'm trying to inject a little bit more of the things that I love so I don't feel quite as stressed and fatigued as I have been. I took a bit of a break to watch The Handmaid's Tale, which I don't think was the best idea, but just being able to watch something and kind of marathon through it helped me numb my brain just a little bit. But I'm back and ready to do the mid-year freakout tag. So question number 1, best book in 2018, and I'm going to interpret this as the book I read in 2018, not that it released in 2018, but Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure most of you have heard of Call Me By Your Name. They did end up turning the book into a movie, and I had heard a lot about the infamous peach scene before I had even gotten to it. This book is about the character Elio, who lives in Italy, and his house frequently accepts like scholars and kind of like an exchange student kind of thing. And he ends up becoming infatuated with one of the American scholars, Oliver, who ends up staying with him. There is a bit of an age difference between Elio and Oliver. It is a bit of an epic love story with ups and downs and lots of challenges and tension, and it was just a really intense romance. I think the one thing you need to be really prepared for when you're going in, though, is just know that there's a lot of very explicit sexual scenes. Question number 2, best sequel so far, and for me that was Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel. It was the third book in the Themis Files, and so it was the conclusion to the trilogy. Like the previous 2 books, I did listen to this on audiobook and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great conclusion, and also like the other 2 books, there is a lot of political things happening and it seemed very timely. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I really liked how the characters grew throughout the entire story and where they ended up by the end of this one. Number 3, a new release I haven't read yet. I feel like I have a ton of those, but just to mention one, Ice Wolves by Amy Kaufman. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and for this I think I would pick All of Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I'm a big Colleen Hoover fan. I've enjoyed all of the books that I've read by her. Not that they don't have flaws, but I have thoroughly enjoyed them. I do feel like most of her books are just real page turners, and I believe All Your Perfects kind of focuses on a marriage, so I'm just wondering how different this is going to be than some of her other books. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I read Faithful by Alice Hoffman. It was the first Alice Hoffman book I have read, and it was a really weird read for me. It's not that the story wasn't interesting, there was actually a lot happening in the story, but for whatever reason, the format that it was written in, or maybe it was just very plot focused instead of character. I don't even know if that's the case. Honestly, I don't know what it was, but this book made me feel nothing, which is really, really weird. And it's very possible it was just the mood I was in, but I had trouble connecting to the book and the story and like really feeling something. I'm a very sensitive and emotional person, so if I don't feel, it just feels really weird. Biggest surprise, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was also a book that we read with the Libri Labra book club, and as I started it, I was listening to audiobook, and I don't really absorb stories that way best. I think best I would probably say if I do audio and like read it physically, or read it physically versus just listening. So when I first started listening to it, I found myself kind of annoyed with the characters, and I thought their back and forth of all the games they were playing in the office was just kind of annoying. But I eventually completely fell in love with it and went back and reread the beginning, and I think it had even more of an impact then. The Hating Game is a contemporary romance with a hate-to-love trope in it. Both of the main characters work for different publishing houses that kind of merged together, but they had very different philosophies. So we had kind of like the hippie-loving, hey, reading is important, empathy, all this awesomeness, books, education, and then the other publishing house was mostly about like making money and, you know, numbers and stuff like that. So they came from 2 very different philosophies, and they ended up being in the same department and floor. And there was a lot of back and forth between them. Number 7, fave new author to me, and that is Becky Albertalli. I read The Upside of Unrequited this year and really enjoyed it. Number 8, newest fictional crush, and I would have to say Trick from Nevernight. He's kind of broken, but I think everybody in that book is. And by broken, I just mean that a lot of shitty things has happened to him, but despite that, I think he still has a good heart, and yeah. Number 9, newest favorite character. I think that has to be Evelyn Hugo. I don't think I've come across many people like her in real life, but she felt extremely human. She had her own flaws, but I think she accepted her flaws. And because she was able to do that, she was in turn able to accept other people's flaws. And I think that's something not everybody can do. Number 10, book that made you cry, and that was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't really want to say too much about it. Evelyn Hugo is a Cuban-American actress who has been married 7 times, and the book is broken up into her life with each husband. This book also contains bisexual representation, but I really love the way the story was told, and something that it does really well is that it makes you feel connected to every single character. Number 11, a book that made you happy, A Day in the Life of Marlon Brando. I thought it was adorable. It had a wonderful story. It was a bunny that falls in love with another boy bunny. Number 12, fave book to film adaptation. Now, I didn't actually read this book this year, but I did see the movie this year, so I kind of felt like that counted. And for me, that was Ready Player One. Number 13, favorite review that I've done this year, and I'm gonna go back to Day in the Life of Marlon Brando. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll be sure to link it above. 14, most beautiful book. The newest paperback version of Carry On was definitely a cover buy. And 15, here is a quick list of books that I feel like I need to read by the end of the year. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I'm halfway through this. I really need to finish it. It started off as a buddy read, and apparently I suck at buddy reads, so I didn't finish it. I'm sorry, Jashana. Iron Heart by Ashley Poston, Lifelike by Jay Kristoff, All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover, Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, and From Twinkle with Love by Zendaya Menon. So that was my mid-year freak out tag. I'd love to hear what book you guys are looking forward to within the second half of the year, so please let me know in the comments below. If you happen to notice that my cat was creeping around somewhere, please be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.